Glenn, great job today. Make sure we're in tune. Here we go. We got an instrument in the key of G that's going to be tuned in fifths. Here's a G. G, A, B, C, D. The next note's a D. D, E, F, G, A. A, B, C, D, E. Yeah, so if we go from a G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and then a B sharp, we're looking at a C. So G to G sharp is a minor second. G sharp to an A is a whole step or a major second. So do, re, mi, fa. It's nothing more than a whole step, half step. So the thing that we are going to have as a takeaway from today is two very important things. In each 7-note diatonic scale, there are going to be a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, and ti, and do. Amongst that, we have its half steps and then little bitty frequencies that are in between. There are names for every one of them. However, we generally go with do or da, re, fa, la, ma, mi, sa, so, ti, and ta, and then ta and ti, and then it goes back to the do. So we could have do, da, ra, re, ma, mi, fa, fo, so, sa, ta, ti, do. When we do that, we have all notes in a chromatic scale. The difference between a chromatic scale and a diatonic is the notes in a diatonic scale are the 7 notes inside the scale. Today, you learn how to figure out what sharps and what flats are in each key. If you remember 3 caveats. 1, in the key of C, there are no sharps and no flats, meaning when I say C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, I didn't say C, C double sharp, C quadruple sharp, C. It's all natural notes. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. I also don't say C, D, E, F, G, A, C flat, C, because I don't say things twice. There's no reason to say things twice. Also, we also figured out how to take C, D, E, F, G and know that 5 notes away using the circle fifths is going to show you what your next sharp is. I don't really know how else to say this, but you need to just memorize that the first sharp is an F sharp. Everything else falls in place from there. Why? Because you can figure out that C sharp is your next sharp that goes in D after you count 5 away. So here's the process. I'm in C major. C, D, E, F, G. G has 1 sharp. It's F sharp. G, A, B, C, D, E. Oh, there's that sharp. F sharp. So it's the 7th. Yeah? So how do I know what key has 2 sharps? And how do I know what that sharp is? Okay, well, we were in the key of C. Had no sharps and flats. C, D, E, F, G. G had 1. It's F sharp. Memorize it. Since you're an adult, F. Fucking A. It's always the F, right? So F, G, A, B, C, D. 5 notes away from G is D, which means if C had 0, G had 1, and D now has 2, F sharp's one of those. How do I know that C sharp is the next sharp to add? F, G, A, B, C. So if I go D, E, F, G, A is going to have 3 sharps. One of them's F, one of them's C. How do I know that the next one is 5 notes away? F, G, A, B, C. C, D, E, F, G. So when I play A and I find an A, B, C sharp, D, E, F, G sharp. If I were to not play those sharp notes and just have A, B, C natural, D, E, F natural, G natural, it would sound like a minor, because in a minor you flatten the 3, the 6, and the 7. Long story short is what we talked about as far as having a major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Those are just the intervals. 7 notes, diatonic. The 1 is going to be a major. The 2 is going to be a minor. The 3 is going to be a minor. The 4 is going to be a major. The 5 is a major. 6 is a minor, and the 7 special. It's a diminished. So out of the 3 chord structures that are triads, out of the 4 that we talked about, major, minor, diminished, and augmented. Augmented is the only one that has like a sharp 5. It's got a 1, 3, and sharp 5. So no matter what chord you have, if it's a G major, you've got a G, a B, a D, and a G. So 2 G notes, but a G, B, D. So G, A, B, C, D. Get rid of your 2 and 4, you have G, B, D. So if I wanted to play an augmented chord, I would have to make that D a sharp. So I would have, well, which one's my D? It's this thick string. So if I played, that's an augmented chord. And what we use augmented chords is kind of like a, it adds tension. Kind of like a diminished does, but a diminished is a lending tone and it resolves to another key or moves the music along. Augmenteds use that chord to set some kind of different change. A good way to hear it is like, what is that, A major? So here's an A major, and what is A flat? And then an A flat augmented. So I have, what's my fifth? Oh, darling, please believe me. So each thing has its place. That's an augmented 1, 3, sharp 5. What we learned today is the 1 is a major, the 2 is a minor, the 3 is a minor, the 4 is a major, the 5 is a major, the 6 is a major, the 7 is a diminished, and it resolves to a major. So with 2 finger variances, we have a G major. Here's the full chord. Yuck. It's a biggie. And then our A minor, if you did 3 notes, B minor 3 notes, C major 3 notes, D major 3 notes, E minor 3 notes, F diminished, and then back to a G. We'll go over all this again, but I'd like you to see how this first structure, G, the 4th, and the 5th are all a major form. G, C, D. When we play the minor, 2nd, minor, 3rd, and minor 6th, we get an A minor, B minor, and a E minor. The last one is the diminished, and it should have that and resolve right back to the G. We'll talk about this in every key because it's noble to learn those. But the starting thing that you and I are going to do is just talk about those 4 triads. G major, G minor, G diminished, and G diminished has a 1, flat 3, and a flat 5. Since D is right here, we quite literally have to go to D and go right there. G diminished. So fretboard recognition happens, and chords understanding 1, 3, 5. 1 flat 3 5 is a minor, 1 flat 3 flat 5 is a diminished, and 1 3 sharp 5 is going to be an augmented. Between that, you and I will learn every chord to any song you ever want to play. The next step after doing this is just getting a little bit better with rhythm on the other hand. We don't hold the pick with the pointy end out, we hold it with the flat side, kind of beveled. And we do a raking thing. So at first we start with down, up, down, up, down, up. So when you're doing your spider exercises, 1, 2, 3, make sure you keep your fingers on the fretboard. Now you can move up to the same fret. As I said in practice, this is all just superfluous. It doesn't matter what these notes are, as long as you're making contact with the note and it's coming out. This is what you're doing 4 different notes on each one of these. And at the beat, you're doing it 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3. It's about at 80 beats per minute. The point is to get these where they're all legible and to move yourself up the fretboard. This is the other type of way where you're going up a string and then skipping a fret. So by the time you get to the E string, you should start on the 4th fret and move yourself all the way up to the 7th. The point is to get all the way up and go back down. So if you spend 5 minutes doing this, you quite literally could go. Notice I'm going all the way up and then skipping up and going up a fret. So the next time I'm going to go on 4. So quite literally I do this just while I'm watching TV and hanging out. I get my fingers nice and tensed up. What you'll notice after you work it for a while, your muscle here will start to get a little tense. Rub it down, put a little bit of lotion on it, whatever you need to do. Icy hot if it gets too bad. Make sure that your thumb is not going up the fret, but it is laying down perpendicular. The way you can tell that you're doing right, So take your finger, play the 2nd fret, hold it back behind and pinch and make sure that you're going straight up and down. And the tension you have while holding the instrument so it doesn't fall out of your hands is about the pressure you want when you're sitting here. Sit up straight, take a deep breath. Don't lean over and blow the air out of your diaphragm and dig your elbow into your side here, but yet sit up straight, look into a mirror and look what your fingers are doing. When you're doing that, you're not going to be bending over and you're not going to be ducking this in there. You will thank me for this. Find a mirror, look into it, play those chords. When you're doing this, try and do that G major. Know that that's the minor, so when you go to your minor second, G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F diminished, and G. Try those this week. We'll go over and fortify those so you know exactly what's going on and how to utilize those in your playing. But then the next step after that, what did I say? Spider exercises get you nice and super tight and your muscles get warmed up. Then do your basically your teeter-totter exercises. You're going to play a whole note, which is a 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to attack on the 1, but you're going to keep the hand going up and down. If you have a funky time doing this, tap your leg. Attack. 2, 3, 4. Attack. 2. And when we do this, what this does is it derives 4/4 from us. So if I wanted to play not just a whole note, which is worth 4 beats, so we've got G, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3. What we can do is go G major, 2, and then do minor. G minor, 2, 3, 4. G major, switch, 2, 3, 4. G minor. Make sure you're keeping this right hand going, because when you don't play just on the 1 and you play on the 1 and 3, you get and 2 and 2 and, which these are called half notes. Oddly enough, 2 beats, half of what a whole note would be. And then when we do on downstrokes, instead of just doing 1 and 2 and 1 and, when we do it on 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, what you'll do is you'll find it's much easier to move this chord, G major and a 2nd fingering, to a G minor than it is to actually keep doing this. So just by practicing the practice of practicing, doing teeter-totter, spider exercises, not only you're forming muscles, but you're showing your hands that it isn't much quicker to play a G major and a D major like this than to play like this and this, because you're leaving out your 1st finger on that 1st fret, which you should feel comfortable playing spideys on. So when you're playing a G or a D or a C or any of these, try and think about playing your different fingerings. G major 1st fingering, G major 2nd fingering, G major 3rd fingering. If I take that and scooch it up and bar, that's a G sharp, A sharp, B, so on and so forth. Every chord you learn down here, well, it can be played all the way up. So if you're going to play a D minor, if you play it like this and then scoot it up a whole step, that's an E minor. It just so happens you're going to need that movement when you're playing C major. C major. Instead of going to there, try going to here. D minor. Up a whole step. E minor. Here's my F major. Bar it up. You can do a whole bunch of stuff with these F major chords. After that, G major, which you know. Play with the 2nd fingering. What's after G major? A major. Oh, wait a minute. In the key of C? No, A minor. And it's going to look exactly like what we've been working on for the G, A, except you're going to bar the 2nd and play that minor thing. So when you're playing your G major, try and play your G minor with a couple different fingerings. Try and play your G major with all your different fingerings. So when you scoot them up, it's much easier. This doesn't happen overnight, but you will find yourself auto-correcting your thumb from going like this or being up here or going, crazy directions. It will just naturally feel here. If I find that your thumb's not doing you any justice, we will do our best to get it off of the back of the headstock and just relying predominantly on using the weight of the body and pushing it. The reason why I don't teach that way is it bends the neck if you're doing it too hard and doing it awkward. So, takeaway from today. There are 4 different types of chords. Chords are made of notes. Notes are individuals. When you add a note to another note, note with another note, harmony, note with 3 notes. Triad. All chords are triads, a 1, 3, and 5. The twos inside of a chord of the 7 notes make that triad sound like it's floating over the top of our heads. Here's a G sus4. And when I drop down that note back down to the B from the C, C back to B, it goes from the 4th, G, A, B, C, and drops it back to the 3rd, thusly resolving it. I know you hear this because you said and you made mention of it while we were playing. So, when we have a major chord, a minor chord, and we can hear our diminished, and we know exactly how to play those in every key, that's when it really gets fun. It takes about 6 months to a year. If you play every day for 5 minutes to 15 minutes and you can understand the concept of whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, no matter where you start, linear all the way up on one string or using a multitude of strings, you will be able to see this. These spider exercises, when you get to the 4th fret, you can't just naturally go up to the next note. It doesn't work. So if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we go up, another exercise I teach is that open, first finger, slide, second finger, slide, third finger, slide, pinky, open. Each one of these, gets you to the next thing. And it's a great way to fill in the slides. It helps with doing improvisation as well. So, as you can see and as you can probably understand, I know a lot about music, but not enough. I know what I can give you. If you see something that doesn't make sense or you have a question about it, ask me. I would love to research it and figure it out because it only helps both of us. G to A is a whole step. A to B is a whole step. B to C is a whole step. C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. E to F sharp is a whole step. And then F sharp to G is a half step. Meaning you have a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. If you don't go all the way up the fretboard and you go across, you find yourself having G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, which is the same F sharp as right there. So what happens is by playing it in every fret, all different notes, bunch of different times, you inevitably build muscle memory to do replication of patterns. Once you have about 20 hours on this thing, G major, G minor, C major, C minor, D major, no matter what shape you're playing it or playing the extensive one, knowing the D minor, A major, A minor, knowing which ones are near each other, A major, D major. It really starts to make sense how these things are kind of laid out. Along with all the little caveats that I've picked up over the last 25 years playing, I can guarantee you that you're going to be having fun understanding more about this instrument, and it will bleed over to every other instrument. So, knowing what we know, a G to a G sharp is a minor second. A G sharp to an A is a major second. A G sharp to an A sharp or a B flat is a minor third. A G sharp to a B is a major third. A G sharp to a C is going to be a perfect fourth. A G to a C is a perfect fourth. G to a C sharp is a augmented fourth. G to a D is going to be a fifth. G to a D sharp or an E flat is going to be an augmented fifth. It is the note that you add in a G major to get that augmented sound. When you're going to the next note, that F there, G to the F is going to be G, A, B, C, D, E, F. It's going to be your dominant 7. And F sharp is going to be your major 7th, not the minor 7th, the F natural, but an F sharp is going to be your major 7th, and it resolves to your G. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp diminished, and I'll get into this a little bit later, G, A, B, C, D, but a D7 is an F sharp diminished. So if we had a G major, and we made that into a G7, or a D major, and then made that into a D7, the D7 acts as your diminished. So the D7 is an F sharp diminished. G, A, B, C, D, E, where am I? E. Here's our D major, turning it into a dominant. F sharp diminished, and it resolves back to D. That's a lot of information for the first lesson here on video. As always, these videos are just for you to do a recap. You're always going to have these to go back and reflect on. But the major points that were covered here is the foundation of all the music you and I will work on. It covered being able to play a major, being able to play a minor, understanding that a diminished has a flat, and understanding that an augmented has a sharp 5 in there. When we play our 4 different types of triads, major, minor, diminished, and augmented, they go in correlation, in juxtaposition, and are in progressions that sound pleasing, which means when you have a G, most likely you're going to have a D. If you have a G and a D, most likely you're going to have a C. And if you have a G, a D, and a C, most likely you're going to hear an A minor being, and a B minor being in the between of those. So what happens is, happy, kind of melancholy, mysterious, happy again, super happy. Everything's drawing towards that dominant, as you pointed out. Yep. The E minor itself is going to have a little mystery to it. And then the F diminished, F sharp diminished, is going to be the chord that brings us back into the G. Now, in every single chord, every single key signature, we have this. Different songs have different progressions, but nothing is too terribly hard. Unless you're listening to, King Crimson, Frank Zappa, stuff like that. Most of the stuff's going to be like 1, 4, 5. Might have 3-note chord progressions. Shit, might even have a 5-note chord progression. But we will go through this and figure it out. After that, the step is actually just getting your whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step in every key. And then being able to do all these things by going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And once you get a good idea of all 7 notes, do 6 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Start with the second note and do 6 notes, but go up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then start with the third note and add a note. Those are 6-note and 7-note variances. If you did 2-note variances, then a 3-note variance, then a 4-note, it would sound like this. Hear how individually they're all just kind of weird, but if you put them together with what happens is you develop individual notes that you want to play over the top of while doing these things. So the lessons that I will be giving you, and then the follow-up videos will have something like this. We'll work on knowing that F sharp and then hearing that F. When we talk about a G major has an F sharp in there as the 7th, and then if we use the dominant 7th, the minor 7th, we get a G7, and then that changes that note that we choose to put into that scale. Thusly, it leads us into a whole different ballgame of discussing what scales are in a diatonic fashion and then describing them as something called modus or modal structures. M-O-D-E-S. Comes from Pythagoras as well when they switched over from having the multi-chromatic notes to having a diatonic structure. Modus comes from changing one interval in that whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, and thusly it changes the tone and how we hear that chord. That is a lot of information. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week and possibly tomorrow. Aloha.